All right, so we have everyone here. So without further ado, I'd like to present Shaun Preston with Camp Small.
Hi, everyone. My coming through clear and loud and clear. All right. Very cool. It's nice to be with you all. A lot of familiar faces, which is so wonderful to, after being here for 7 years, I feel like, we're finally getting to where we've reached out, our sort of branches have spread out to across the city, and it's nice that we're becoming an entity, an organization that folks are aware of and can come to and get resources from us. So but many of you probably don't know, or maybe those of you that even do know about us and what we can what we do maybe don't know the extent of the things that we can provide. So I've got a little bit of time, and I'm just going to kind of, blast through with sort of what we are doing here. Hold on one second. I'm going to change. There we go. So Camp Small is on 80. It's like 83 in Cold Spring, sort of in the northwest junction or northwest corridor of that junction. We have a 5-acre site here. We, as Baltimore City Recreation and Parks, the Division of Forestry, is part of Recreation and Parks, and Camp Small is part of the Division of Forestry and the Tree Baltimore organization. The city started the program here about 7 years ago to capture the value of some of the value that was being lost in street trees that were being removed and brought here to the site to rot away or to eventually get hauled off site to be most likely ground up into a mulch product. And that was sort of the standard operation for 100 years or 80 years for the city, for Recreation Parks and DPW that did it before, and then Recreation Parks, and just kind of shifted hands over the decades. But so I came on board to try to figure out how to capture that value, try to figure out what markets were out there, who we could kind of push the whole logs to, the wood chips, things like that, and did find some market for that, but really I learned that to be able to effectively repurpose this material, we needed to be able to do processing in-house. So so fast forward, we got a grant from American Forests. We bought a portable bandsaw mill. We bought a kiln. We bought a firewood splitter. I was able to use those acquisitions to get me some help here. The gentleman I work with, his name is Nicholas Oster, Nick. And he's been a woodworker and a teacher, a woodshop teacher for the past decade or so before coming here. A forever woodworker, but a teacher for 10 years. And so, he came on to sort of help push us in the direction of finished wood products, and also with putting in a workforce development program in here and teaching, folks, city residents with employment barriers, additional skills, woodshop skills, heavy equipment skills, basic forestry skills to, give them more of an arsenal on their resume, and hopefully, we can help them land a job. But we're still in the works with that. We're working with nonprofits to try to figure out what that program is going to look like. And hopefully this fall, fingers crossed, lots of stuff's in the iron. Hopefully this fall we can get that program going. So what we offer, other than those, well, I didn't really get into it. So the kiln gives us kiln dried lumber. So we can produce rough green sawn lumber and we can produce kiln dried lumber. Um, right now, we've just been doing ash for the kiln dried lumber. We've done 6/4, which is 1.5 inches thick, 8/4, 9/4, and we sell through it like hotcakes. So outside of loading our kiln, we produce a lot of green sawn, rough sawn lumber. So we've done, like lately in the last few months, we've done some really big raised bed garden projects. One for a Hindu meditation center in Hartford County. We're cutting one right now for the Joseph Lee City Farm. We did another one down in Reservoir Hill. The landscape company Great Blue did the installation for that, installed that project. So they reached out and sourced the material from us. And we work with city schools a lot. We do a lot of like outdoor classrooms and like play areas. And so we've done, one of our recent outdoor classroom play areas was the Baltimore Montessori Elementary Charter School. And we're getting ready to do a really big one in Mount Washington for the Mount Washington Elementary School. So, all of those things keep us very busy as a 2-person staff. I mean, on top of doing all of those jobs, and the products that we put out, we brought about $130,000 last year into the program, which right now goes kind of towards, not kind of, it goes towards paying back equipment that the city has given us a loan to buy. So that's like an excavator and a skid steer and some other pieces that we needed for the program. We are just about, maybe as of last week, paid off what we've borrowed. Once we are paid off what we've borrowed, that money will go all back into the Tree Baltimore and Camp Small programs. And that money will be used to support the build out of our program, employing more people, producing more products, providing more jobs, and more skill-based training. It's a really unique program as a city model. It's extremely unique in that, like, it's almost like a for-profit, but it's very competitive pricing. We try to stay lower than anybody else, and kind of what we offer is extremely unique. There's not really competition in the area for what we are able to offer. But we do provide discount pricing to all public projects, community projects. Basically, the raw material costs are taken out of the final cost. Other things that might be interest is that we have wood chips. We have lots and lots and lots and lots of wood chips. We get 9,000 yards of wood chips a year. We get an obscene amount of wood chips. So that is all available at no cost to public projects. If you're able to come and schedule an appointment to pick up the wood chips, it's free. We can load you with our front end loaders. If you're using it for your own personal use, it's only $10 a yard. A pickup truck usually holds 1 to 2 yards, depending on the size of the truck. So it's a very affordable option. It is not a shredded mulch, it is a wood chip. And I'm happy to explain the differences, but basically it can be used for anything that you're using a shredded mulch for. It's an excellent mulching product. It breaks down a little bit faster, which is good. Do
you have a delivery option, or is that on us?
No, we only offer delivery to those public projects. So community public projects, we do offer delivery, but we're 2-person staff again. So like delivery, right now I saw Liz Lamb's on here. She actually just emailed me right before we started this and just took so everybody can yell at Liz Lamb for taking up all the slots that I have coming up. So we are, I think, out to September, end of September now. So we only do them on the second and fourth Tuesday of every month. We do up to 2 a day on those days. And so, we're now going into the slow season. In the spring, we can be booked up for like 3 months right away. Boom, gone. And our big jobs, if you were putting in an order for 40 raised bed for lumber for a whole garden, it's 5 months out right now is where we're at. If it's a small order like a bench or something like that, we could squeeze it in pretty quick. But yeah, we stay really busy. Camp Small gets almost 10,000 tons of material a year. That's a very big number, and kind of hard to imagine what 10,000 tons of wood debris looks like. But well, you can come to Camp Small and see what 30,000 tons of wood debris looks like, because that's how much we have here. It's a lot of material. So we, not only are we making all these products on a daily basis, and doing administrative and marketing, but we're also just sorting the incoming material, going through what's come in, keeping our wood chips clean, sorting logs by species around our building. And yeah, we stay very busy. But a big focus for our program is to just keep the mentality that we are a service. We're a resource for information. We are a resource for goods, and we are, here for education more than anything. So that's our main focus. And yeah. Let's see, Patrick, did you think that there was, I know that I had very limited time, and I can run on and on and on about this stuff.
Yeah.
I can get really into the weeds, and I can also sort of ramble from one topic to the next without any control. So was there anything that you wanted me to hit on that you think I missed, or if there was questions, I'm really happy to sort of open it up to questions if that's okay.
I think because we gotta move on. But basically, I think you said a lot about what you did. I think it was, I appreciate you really giving a window into your work and the things that you're doing up there. Because again, it is very unique. What they're doing is a very special program we have the city, connected to city government. I mean, it's very innovative, and it is a great source for many of the materials that you all as gardeners and people working on projects can get at a reasonable price here in Baltimore. So I think that should be the big takeaway. Shaun, do you want to throw your email in the chat?
Yeah, there's a way that I can't share. Yeah, I will put the email in the chat. Also, when I said we do with raw material, like raw logs too, so like, very cheap option to do sort of like bordering on trails or gardens, doing like using whole logs is also something that we can do. We also do like whole logs for mushroom farming. Yeah, if I'll put the email in the chat. If anybody has any questions, I'm here and would love to talk. Okay.
Great.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Shaun. Appreciate your time and
Absolutely.
appreciate you coming out. Farmer Phoenix, you ready?
I am.
Excellent. Let me make sure you can share your screen. All right. Should have screen shares should be available. So whenever you're ready.
All right. Thank you. All right. All right. Thank you and good evening again, everyone. I am Farmer Phoenix. My legal name is Ramona Wilson Shue. I am the founder of the Phoenix Legacy House. I just want to do a land acknowledgement that in the spirit of truth and reconciliation, the members of the Phoenix Legacy House respectfully acknowledge that our home, as well as the Stockton Street lot that we steward, are situated on the unceded ancestral territories of the Piscataway and Susquehanna, people. We honor and give thanks for their past, present, and future relationship of these people and this land. We also celebrate the resilience of all Indigenous people that all Indigenous people have shown worldwide. All right, so a little bit about the Phoenix Legacy House. It was founded in 2020. Me and my 6 children, like all of you, were sitting at home during the pandemic. Maybe some of you were doing more than just sitting at home, but we were just sitting at home mostly. And yeah, we kind of just were reflecting on like having this time together. And we wanted to do something creative. And so we developed the Phoenix Legacy House. And initially it was going to be a publishing house because I do have some talented children that are writers and poets. And we also wanted to write about some of our family traditions, hand games, recipes. And we started doing that. And fast forward to this year, we, in January, we went through the process of adopting a lot, because me and my oldest daughter, as well as the other kids, have a love for agriculture, and we wanted to do something for the community. So we also wanted this to be not for profit, so we weren't trying to make any type of money from this. But we found out later that, you know, in order to do some of the improvements that we need to do, you do kind of need money, right? So grants are some of the best way for green spaces to get money for improvement. And so we officially formed our LLC. We officially got the lot in April and formed the LLC in May. So a little bit about the North Stockton Street lot. It is in the Sandtown area of Baltimore. So I was really glad to see that the 21217 was well represented in this group here. The lot itself, although, as you can see in this picture here, this is a picture of the lot when we put this banner up that someone took down, and we don't know where it's at. But anyway, it's filled with a lot of asphalt. And though the plants are resilient and busting through the asphalt there, it's tons and tons. We found out that the railroad was dumping asphalt into this lot. So we want to clear the asphalt from the lot to obviously improve it, do some phytoremediation, get some phytoaccumulators in there like sunflowers and highland bent grass and other types of phytoaccumulators if we can, but we do need to get that asphalt out of there. And we're gonna get the soil sample as soon as we can get to the soil. I do have the soil sample packages I received from the University of Delaware, but we plan to have a garden there, not just any garden, an edible garden, fruit bushes, vegetables, herbs. We want to put up a little free library. We're part of the cooperative Gardens Commission, and so we're a seed hub for them. So we want to put up a seed library, and we want it to be free for the community and the people of Sandtown. Well, the entire Baltimore community, possible, but yeah, it's right there in Sandtown. So the lot does have needs, and like I put here, before the vision can be realized, we have needs, and so each need also has an ask. And the first need is a qualified steward. So me and my children are the stewards currently of that lot. And so I am in a beginner farmer training program with the University of DC. I'm also a member of Future Harvest. I'm a member of the Mid-Atlantic Black Farmer Caucus. And I've recently become a part of the Ujamaa Farms, Ujamaa Seeds, Taman Farm of, Food Forest. And so the ask for this is that you all, pray for me and my family, if your prayer, or send good vibes, so that we can continue to steward this lot. The second need, and the ask is embedded in this need, is I need advice, I need help, I need guidance, support, and that can come in many types of forms. I will have my contact information at the end of this presentation if you would like to help out with that. The lot is going to eventually need some in-kind, perhaps donations if we don't get enough grants. I'm not asking for your money, but if you do choose to provide that, on our website, there is a way to donate. The third need is a fiscal sponsor. So as many of you may know, for some grants, for most grants, you can't just go out there and apply for it as a regular citizen. You have to be part of a nonprofit or neighborhood organization. And I have not been able to reach the neighborhood organization for Sandtown. And so I'm looking for a fiscal sponsor, and I would prefer if the fiscal sponsor kind of looks like me and my kids, like they're BIPOC or maybe a female-led organization.
I have a couple of recommendations for fiscal sponsors in your area.
Oh, awesome.
One would be Clergy United for the Transformation of Sandtown.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure they're a 501c3. And the other one that I'm aware of over there, well, there's a couple others. There's the Upton Planning Committee. That's not too far from you all. And then the Druid Heights CDC, definitely 501c3.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Check in with them. You never know.
I sure will. Thank you. So I have some before and after pictures. We've only since I just acquired the lot in April, we've only did one cleanup in May. On the left, you can see that there's a lot of the asphalt, there was trash, lots of volunteer plants there. I'm not going to call them weeds. And then on the right, you can see after we cleaned up some of the asphalt, there's just so much of it, and some of the weeds. Here is our next event. It's coming up this Saturday. We will be cleaning the lot that is located at 1386 North Stockton Street from noon to 2 p.m. We always end at 2 p.m. because 2 minutes from the lot is where Baltimore Food Not Bombs distributes their free vegan meals to people who are food insecure. Now, this is not any partnership that I have with Baltimore Food Not Bombs, but I do want to, if you have not heard of them or you not know the work that they do, I do want to impress that they're doing amazing work in the city, providing vegan meals free for food insecure people. Here is my contact information. This is the phone number for the Phoenix House. This is the website that is bare bones, and please bear with us. I am allowing my children to take ownership of the website and some other things. But there is an ability to, like I said, donate. There's ability to find out more about the Phoenix Legacy House. For example, I don't know if you guys saw our coat of arms. I'll go back like really quickly. This little coat of arms here, you'll find out what does it mean? What does these words mean? What are these symbols on there on the website? And this is our email address, and that is the address of the Stockton Street lot. So I don't know if there's any more questions or comments, but thank you so much for listening, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes,
Robin.
go ahead. Well, this is amazing. First of all, thank you for your presentation. Isn't the city helping you get rid of this stuff because it was a dump? It seems to me that there should be some avenue to put some pressure on them to get this asphalt out and not have it just be on the community's shoulders. I mean, it's horrible that this was allowed or ignored, and I don't think you guys should have to deal with all of it. And I plan on being in touch because this is a great, great thing you're doing.
Thank you so much, Robin. I really appreciate that. And anyone else who shares her sentiment. I do have several emails where I have asked councilmen, I have asked so many people for help. I've just asked, hey, just give me a dumpster for us to shovel up and put the asphalt in there. And they said, no, they cannot help me. They cannot remove it. I've contacted the DPW. I've contacted a lot of people. They said, just hey, put in a 311 request to have us pick up whatever trash you get. you get. And so that's what I'm doing. So I just, I don't want to be discouraged by those who may not, see the great things that we in this group and others are trying to do, sequestering carbon and rewilding the earth. It is what it is, but I really do appreciate that, Robin. Thank you.
That I like your attitude. It's better than, harumphing around. So thank you.
All right, and I'm going to stop saying if there's nothing else.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Farmer Phoenix. Appreciate it very much. I am going to pass it off to Victor, and then we will break down, do our spring reviews. So, Victor, you're up.
Hi, everyone. So I run a local nursery up in Parkton, Maryland, and I wanted to talk about a few things that you all, native plant nursery, of course. But yeah, I wanted to talk about a few things that are easy and very manageable to do that can greatly increase habitat value on your spaces that you manage. I'm gonna share my screen here. Sorry, some technical difficulties. Can you see this, Pat?
You're back to full screen. You had it and then it disappeared.
Yeah.
Try again.
All right, let's try this.
Yay,
Yeah.
you're up and running. Fabulous.
But you're on mute now, Victor. It's not one thing, it's another. Still on mute, Victor.
All
Right.
right, back. Great. And is my screen sharing?
Yes.
I think it is. Great. All right. And can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Great. Cool. All right. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is creating brush piles on the properties you manage. And brush piles support tons of insects, and including wood-boring beetles. They also support lizards and, in turn, their predators, including snakes and foxes. Also, most places I've built brush piles or where friends have built them, it's very common to see foxes making homes and raising their young in them. And this can also provide more food for foxes in that way. Yeah, and different ideas for building a brush pile, even any way that you throw a bunch of sticks that are coming off the site when pruning shrubs out of pathways, or cleaning up after the winter. Animals will be able to kind of rearrange it themselves, but if you want to, you can intentionally leave air gaps at the bottom of the brush pile, and even leaves on top of them. And brush piles are great really throughout all seasons, but especially in the winter, they'll provide some insulation for whatever wildlife decides to use them in these city spaces. Then I think that planting shrub thickets, and by this I mean planting shrubs close together to each other, and of course the larger area the better, but even just a few shrubs next to each other will provide amazing cover for birds to fly in and out of, and any place that I see shrub thickets, even right in the center of the city, of course, there's just tons and tons of bird activity. And any bird that creates a nest in shrubs or low branches of trees is definitely going to be interested in making their nest in your shrub thicket. Here on the right side, I am standing with an elderberry shrub that I planted the year before. And if you were to zoom into this, you can see that under my hand is brown bark, and above my hand, the stalks of this elderberry are all green. And that shows that everywhere with the green bark is first year growth. So the buds of that elderberry shrub, the spring before this picture was taken, would have just been right about at my hand. So it's an insanely fast grower, which means that you can purchase them even in really small sizes from either my nursery or Herring Run, or then a lot of these same shrubs they root out from their base, producing suckers, and these can also be transplanted. So once you have one going, you can distribute them to friends. And I also love convincing people to encourage more native wildflowers within their mowed spaces. So on the left here, I have a picture that I took in the eastern shore of Maryland, and all of the purple flowers are native sage called lyre-leaf sage, and all the yellow flowers are golden groundsel in the left photo. And this picture, as you can see, is just taken on the side of a road, and so this space wasn't planted, and it also isn't managed other than just the highway crews mowing it every so often. So it can be a very low maintenance way of providing just a little bit more habitat and making it so that lawns aren't dead zones, but rather places where all these really wonderful native plants can be. And then in the second photo, plant that many of us probably know and love is wild violet. And despite whether or not people want wild violets in their lawns, most lawns have wild violets. And these are a host plant to the fritillary butterflies, of which there are several species. So in the fall, you might be lucky enough to see their caterpillars anywhere that there are dense wild violets. And you can encourage a patch of wild violets by, if you kind of weed around them a little bit, each plant produces anywhere between like 20 and 50 seed per capsule. So each flower turns into that number of seed. So if you can imagine, if you encourage them, they can really spread. And in addition to supporting the fritillary butterflies as a caterpillar, the flowers are edible. Yeah, so and then the other plant here I don't have a photo of is the common self-heal. But all of these plants I actually commonly see unplanted in mowed spaces. But so especially with planting and encouragement, they can form a large component of either pathways or lawn, as we might say. Feel free to ask questions during the presentation as well. So then another thing that I know I'm preaching to the choir here about planting host plants, but the common poster child here, of course, are the milkweed species supporting the monarch butterfly. And so a host plant is any plant that a butterfly can lay their eggs on. So the monarch each butterfly can lay up to 200 eggs, and she'll fly around to look for any of the milkweed species. And if we have enough milkweed species for them, their population can really increase during especially their flight south from Canada to Mexico. And then the second example here, I have the Baltimore checker spot, which I'm really passionate about because it's our Baltimore checker spot, but there are no known populations in Baltimore City, and also no confirmed populations in Baltimore County. But we can definitely bring them back. They can only lay their eggs on white turtlehead, and they, unlike the monarch, they don't migrate. But after forming a population in an area, then the young ones each year will go out and try and make new populations. And they are in fact endangered in Maryland, but there is a known population at least in Frederick, Maryland. And there have been some sightings in northern Baltimore County and in Harford counties. But the more that we plant their host plant, the more likely that that we'll be able to bring them back to Baltimore City. And then a very common butterfly that exists really all over the city and all over Maryland is the spicebush swallowtail, but just a very majestic butterfly that, as the name suggests, can only lay its eggs on the northern spicebush shrub. And this is a shrub that all parts of the shrub are edible, including the red berries. The red berries have kind of a spicy, sharp taste to them, and the leaves can be, so the berries you can bake with them or flavor things in different ways. I also just eat them by the handful while I'm hiking in the woods in the fall. And the leaves and twigs have a lemony flavor that can be made into tea. But even though it's a common butterfly, I think it's great to get more spicebush into anywhere that you'd like to see the beautiful, majestic spicebush swallowtail butterfly. Then the last host plant here I have is the pawpaw tree. And there are huge populations of pawpaw on many of our rivers, including the Gunpowder Falls. I often harvest them to eat near Route 1 on the Gunpowder Falls, around Pot Rocks and the surrounding area. And they just line the floodplain there. And so I've only seen zebra swallowtail a handful of times, but usually along these rivers that have high populations of the pawpaw. But we can bring them more into the city and inner city by planting their delicious host plant, the pawpaw.
So it seems to me we need to talk to the Checker Spot Brewery about planting that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they should take that up.
Yeah, they definitely should. And I've got the white turtlehead to support their efforts. But back to one last thing to bring up about the host plants is, so I'm a big proponent of planting straight species native plants. And the biggest thing to avoid with any cultivars is that sometimes you'll find a cultivar that's been cultivated to bring out red hues in leaves. And this red hue is actually a secondary metabolic compound that is an insect deterrent. So any plant you might find, whether it's heuchera, aka coral bells, or even the lyre leaf sage is often cultivated to have red leaves. So are a number of shrubs. But anytime that we cultivate a species to have red leaves, that means that whatever it may have hosted, it would not be able to host. And then the real danger with that is if those red plants in gardens and from these big garden box stores cross-pollinate with wild populations, it can introduce some of that chemical defense against insects into the wild populations. And the last thing I wanted to bring up here is to leave the leaves, as many people say. It's kind of turning into a catchphrase here, and there are lots of reasons to. And of course, leaves can be, raked off of pathways, or kind of raked into one area. Maybe you put them all under kind of some of the larger trees on a property. So it doesn't have to be leaving leaves everywhere, especially if there are kind of sensitive native plants that don't want to be smothered by them. But of course, most native plants can take being smothered by leaves. So great fritillary butterflies and woolly bear caterpillars will tuck themselves into leaves. As caterpillars, Luna moths, swallowtail butterflies will disguise their chrysalis or cocoons into leaves. So 2 examples where it's either the caterpillar finding refuge in leaves or the chrysalis being tucked into leaves. And then, of course, we all love to see fireflies around, and I learned fairly recently, about a year ago, that fireflies actually spend 2 years as in their larval stage. So before they're able to fly, they have a completely different form. They kind of look like a roly-poly. And they spend 2 years in leaf litter and kind of in the ground layer, even in mulch, under plants, as predators. And so they can't really survive in like a mowed lawn well at all, even though they can be underground, but lawns get packed down with each mowing. But wood chip paths and leaf litter and kind of meadow style plantings can all support the fireflies in their larval stage. And it's really a beautiful thing. If you convert a large space into kind of a firefly friendly habitat, you won't really see a difference in the first year. Maybe all of the larval fireflies that were there will have a higher success rate, but you'll really notice the difference in 2 years, and then in 3 years and 4 years, with just multitudes more fireflies than with previous management strategies. All right, and thanks everyone for listening, and I'd love to answer any questions that you may have.
How do we get in touch with you? Sorry.
Yeah, I can put my email and phone number in the chat.
Great. Thank you.
Yes, and Victor should answer your questions unless you have something very pressing now. Victor, if somebody gets in touch based on this workshop, Victor will respond and let you know.
I'm great at answering all my emails.
Yes, call him. Victor will also return on 8/8 for a lunchtime workshop on stormwater management that we will be featuring. Victor, what is your nursery? Are you changing it to Wild Side yet, or are you still?
Well, I'm currently operating under the name Edible Earth, which is edible for the ecosystem. And Pat is one of the first to know that I'll soon be changing my name to Wild Side Nursery, which I have the LLC formed, but not the website yet.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you, Victor. Appreciate you, man. I think we're gonna
Thank you, Pat.